4 foods, around $4 to $5 a day. That's the entire diet in this video, and it builds muscle, feeds hard training, and holds up when your motivation doesn't. Here's where it comes from. The most feared infantry in the ancient world ate almost the same plain meal every night of their adult lives. Barley meal, cheese, figs, wine. A black broth so bad that outsiders who tasted it said it finally explained why Spartans weren't afraid to die. No variety, no supplements, no macros app. And Greece spent 2 centuries trying very hard not to fight these men in open field. That's the detail everyone skips. The food wasn't special, the system was. So this isn't a Spartan menu, and it isn't a fantasy diet. It's 4 cheap modern foods, split into 2 layers, doing the exact job their food did, building a body that has to perform whether you feel like it or not. 2 foods build the tissue, 2 foods fuel the work. 1 list you buy every week without a debate. Let's get into it. First, understand what you're actually copying. Sparta didn't have a nutrition industry. Every man of fighting age ate at a common mess, and every man had to contribute a fixed monthly quota to that mess. Barley meal, wine, cheese, figs, a small amount of money for meat. That was the deal. If you couldn't keep up your share, you lost your place at the table, and losing your place at the table meant losing your standing as a citizen. Read that again. Their food system had a punishment built into it for inconsistency. Ours has a coupon. Now look at what modern men are told. You need a shaker bottle. You need creatine timing. You need grass-fed everything, and a $14 salmon fillet, and a supplement stack that costs more per month than the food it's supposed to support. And the result? Men are spending more on nutrition than any generation in history, and getting weaker. Because they're solving the wrong problem. The problem was never information. The problem is that most men can't repeat what they're doing. They eat perfectly for 9 days, and then they're standing in a gas station at 8 p.m. with a protein bar and a bad decision. Spartans didn't out-optimize anyone. They out-repeated everyone. That's the whole idea behind this system. 4 foods, 2 jobs. Layer 1 builds the tissue. Layer 2 fuels the work. Get both layers right every day, and your body doesn't have a choice. Food 1. Eggs. The cheapest complete protein a grown man can put in his kitchen. 1 egg gives you roughly 6 grams of protein, plus the fat-soluble vitamins and the cholesterol your body actually uses to keep your hormones running. Not egg whites. Whole eggs. The yolk is not the enemy. It's the reason the food works. Here's why eggs are the foundation and not just a breakfast item. Research on men who lift consistently points to a practical ceiling. Benefits from extra protein flatten out somewhere around 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. For a 180-pound man, that's roughly 130 grams total for the whole day, not 300. Not as much as possible, around 130. 6 eggs is 36 grams of that. Before you've cooked anything that requires a recipe, they're fast. They cook in 4 minutes in a pan you don't have to think about. And when you're tired at the end of a long day, which is when every diet actually dies, eggs are the food you'll still make. That's the real test of a food. Not, is it optimal? Is it still there when you're beat? Food 2. Canned sardines. I know exactly what you're thinking, because most men think it. Little oily fish in a tin smells like a mistake. Your grandfather ate them and you decided you didn't have to. That's precisely why they're cheap. 1 tin gives you over 20 grams of protein, no cooking, no cleanup, and it's ready in the 8 seconds it takes you to pull the lid. And that shelf life is not a small detail. Fresh food punishes you for being busy. Chicken goes bad on a Thursday because your week went sideways. And every meal that rots is a hole in the system. Sardines don't have that failure mode. Stack 10 tins in the cupboard and you've bought 10 meals that cannot expire and cannot be skipped because you didn't feel like cooking. Not the best food, the food that's still there on your worst day. But protein isn't why sardines are on this list. You eat the bones, soft, edible, loaded with calcium, and you're getting a real dose of omega-3 fats in the same bite. That combination isn't about size, it's about durability. Because here's what nobody warns a man about after 35. Your muscle isn't usually what fails first. Your joints go. your lower back goes. Your shoulder starts talking to you on incline press and never stops. The strength is still there. The chassis around it isn't. Sardines feed the chassis. And while a man in the next aisle over pays $30 for a salmon fillet to get the same omega-3s and the same protein, you're paying $2. That's not a hack. That's just refusing to pay a premium for a nicer plate. So that's your foundation. Eggs and sardines, structure and durability, the build layer. But structure without fuel is a house with no power running to it. You can hit your protein target perfectly, every gram, every day, and still walk into the gym with nothing in the tank. Protein is the material. It isn't the energy. Your body builds muscle in response to hard work. And hard work has an energy cost you pay in advance. Underfuel it and you train lighter. You cut the last 2 reps. You skip the set that would have mattered. It happens one small surrender at a time, and then you blame your program. It's not the program. It's an empty tank with a full protein log. The next 2 foods are the difference between a body that's built and a body that actually produces output. Food 3. Oats. The Spartans ran on barley. Ground barley meal was the base contribution to that mess table, the literal fuel of the most disciplined army in the ancient world. You're not milling barley in your kitchen. You're buying a bag of plain rolled oats for a few dollars, and it lasts weeks. Half a cup of dry oats gives you around 150 calories, mostly slow carbohydrate, plus fiber, and a few grams of protein you weren't even trying to get. Slow is the operative word. This is not the sugar spike and crash that has you staring at the wall at 3 p.m. It's the fuel that's still in the tank on your last working set, when the difference between 6 reps and 8 reps is the entire adaptation you came for. Carbs are not your enemy. Undertrained men who eat too much of everything have a problem with carbs. A man who trains hard 3 or 4 times a week has a fuel requirement. You can't build strength on air. You've never seen a strong man who was afraid of the pantry. Oats cost almost nothing per serving, take 5 minutes, and travel in a container. Add peanut butter for calories. Add eggs on the side for protein. It scales up or down with your appetite and your budget, which is exactly what a system is supposed to do. Food 4. Lentils. The last food is the cheapest one on this list, and it's the one most men will skip, which is why most men stay average. 1 cup of cooked lentils gives you around 18 grams of protein, roughly 40 grams of carbohydrate, and about 15 grams of fiber. Protein and fuel in the same spoon. A bag of dry lentils costs a few dollars and feeds you for a week. But here's the part that matters. Lentils are heavy on some amino acids and light on others. Grains are the opposite. Put them on the same plate. Lentils with oats, lentils with rice, lentils with bread. And you close the gap. You get a complete protein profile out of 2 of the cheapest bags in the store. Grain plus legume. That's not a trend. That's how working men have eaten in every hard country on earth for thousands of years, because it works, and because it's what they could afford. Lentils also do something no supplement does. They fill you up. High fiber, high volume, low cost. You're not eating in a caloric fog and wondering why you're softening around the middle. That's your system. Eggs and sardines build. Oats and lentils fuel. Now let me be straight with you, because I'm not going to insult you. No single food on this list builds muscle. Muscle is built by total protein, total calories, and hard progressive resistance training. That's it. Any man who tells you a food is magic is selling you something, and usually the something is a link in the description. Protein powder isn't useless either. It works. It's just a convenience product, and you're paying a convenience price for a job that 4 ordinary groceries already do. And cheap calories are not the same as cheap muscle fuel. A dollar menu is cheap. It doesn't build anything. The 4 foods here are cheap and dense. That's the only version of cheap that counts. So what does a day actually look like? Morning. Oats, 3 or 4 eggs alongside them. Midday. A tin of sardines. Lentils, rice or bread if you need more fuel. Evening. Whatever real meat you can afford, on top of another base of lentils or oats. Chicken thighs if the budget's tight, cheaper than breast, and harder to ruin. That's most of your protein target hit. That's real carbohydrate in the tank. That's fat, calcium, omega-3s, and fiber handled without a single decision that requires thought. Now, portions. Don't overthink this either. Your protein number is roughly your body weight in pounds times 0.7. Eggs and a tin of sardines get you halfway there before you've thought about dinner. The fuel layer is where you adjust, not the structure, the volume. Hard training day or a physical job? A full cup of dry oats instead of half, and a second scoop of lentils at dinner. Rest day at a desk? Same 4 foods, smaller servings. That's the whole scaling rule. Protein stays roughly fixed. Carbs move with the work. And when you get bored, and you will, change the seasoning, not the system. Because that's the actual mechanism here. And it isn't nutritional, it's psychological. Every food choice you delete from your day is a choice you can't get wrong. The Spartans didn't sit down every evening and debate the menu. There was no menu. The meal was decided long before they walked into the room, and the only variable left was whether they showed up. That's a system. It removed the negotiation. Your version doesn't need a barracks. It needs a shopping list you buy every week without thinking about it, and a body that gets fed the same reliable fuel, whether you're motivated or whether you're running on 4 hours of sleep and a bad week. Boring is not a weakness of this diet. Boring is the entire feature. Do the honest math on it. Eggs, oats, lentils, sardines, some rice, some chicken. You are eating like a serious man for less than most people spend on coffee, and you're doing it out of a cupboard, not a supplement drawer. Now, here's the part I want you to actually take with you. Sparta wasn't strong because of black broth. The broth was terrible. Foreigners couldn't get it down. They were strong because every man ate the same hard, plain, unremarkable food at the same table for his entire adult life, and because the system punished the man who couldn't keep it up. The food was never the advantage. The repetition was. You already know how to eat. What you don't have is a structure you can't talk yourself out of. So build the smallest one that works. 4 foods, 2 layers, 1 list you buy every week without a debate. Then hold it for 6 months and find out what you're actually made of. Real strength was never expensive. It was just never optional.